It's been cloudy with a chance of depression. Broke my heart and I learned my lesson. It's already over in my head. It's been cloudy with a chance of anxiety. Can't keep out the demons inside of me. Maybe I'm just better off dead. Welcome along to the Guy and Harley podcast. My name is Harley Neville.
And I'm Guy Pigden. And who was that masterful musician?
Now that was Jaden. Jaden. Now Jaden is who all the kids are going to be talking about now.
Yeah.
Jaden's the next hot thing. Let me tell you, to all the 5150 listeners out there that have kids, like Wazza and Jezza and Tyler and all the rest of them that have kids, you guys keep an ear out. You're going to be hearing about this kid Jaden coming through. Now you're going to see his name, and because you're old, you're going to go, that doesn't say Jaden. That looks like his name is JXDN. His name is JXDN. That's how you read it.
Jackson.
Or Jackson, yeah, true. But actually, see, the way the kids are doing it nowadays is an X. You can put an X in place of an A nowadays, or possibly any vowel, I'm not sure. But you can definitely do it in front of all of the A's. You can do it instead of an A. So his name is actually Jaden.
It's fucking
Jaden.
stupid.
Yeah. Well, I thought you'd say that. But the kids know what I'm talking about, and I know what the kids are talking about.
Well, I respect that you know what the kids are talking about, but the kids are fucking stupid if they're like, hey, we're just going to put a letter that makes it a different sounding thing, but you don't get it, old man. We're corrupting the English language. You don't get it, old man. We're using terrible English. You don't get it, old man. So you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get our misappropriation of the English language, old man. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about it. But I am an old man, so I would say that. Oh, there we go. Someone's just hit record.
Right there.
Surprise.
Yeah, we fucks everything up.
Yep.
Sorry. We were having a good flow there too. Yes. So Jaden, that's who that was, and that's what the kids are saying. So when you see that, you'll know what I'm talking about. Though next time you see one of these hip young rappers and he's got an X there, it's actually an A.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's been a little while since the last podcast. We tried to schedule. We tried to schedule one in on Thursday, but someone had decided he'd forgotten about it and gone for cocktails instead.
Yeah.
Forgot it was Thursday. There's never a worse sign if is that you don't know what's going on in your life than if you lost track of the days.
Well, I also I had put into my schedule 2 other work-related things. Now, they weren't exactly, the common garden variety plebs definition of work, but they were work for me nonetheless. And these
garden variety party drinks.
The 2 things that were in my schedule that day were actually both related to work. One of them was cocktails with my dear friend Tanya, long-time friend and colleague from work. Shout out Tanya, she doesn't listen, dear friend of mine. So we were going out for cocktails, which was great, and she can sort of, help me with my freelancing career, and she works in the same industry as me, and so we, this is hustle related as well, being able to talk shop, and so it was there on my schedule, and then also a party that some of the locals down at the pub were having.
Right.
And these guys too are all movers and shakers in the film biz, or some of them are. So you see, it's all work related. I'm cementing relationships.
Okay.
So, and then I sort of forgot that I was also meant to do the podcast then.
Right.
So I apologize to the listeners. But to be fair, I was like, can we do it at 9 p.m? And old Grandpa Pigden was like, no, that's too late.
I was drifting off on the couch.
I mean, it's quarter past 9 now.
I was drifting off on the couch. Live. I was quite sleepy that day. So I wasn't really didn't feel, because the problem is, like, also when we say 9 o'clock, we mean 10 o'clock.
We say 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock start. And that means like 8 o'clock start the Skype call.
Yeah. and I have still been having some ongoing technical issues. So, sometimes I'm like, I start trying to set up the podcast an hour before we start the podcast, and I'm not ready by the time we start the podcast because I haven't managed to get everything to work on my fucking PC.
Yeah. Well, I'm quite happy to do it on my end.
Well, the thing is, I say this, it's certainly not the case at the moment, but I say this that when it's working on the PC, the stream is the best. The quality is the best on the PC.
But we did it at my house a couple of weeks ago, and it looked great.
Well,
I looked like $1 million, and downstream you look shitter, which is what's always happening to me on your end. I'm downstream, so I'm looking shitter. So I'm coming in. So if people want to know how this works, we're on a Skype call right now. I'm coming in from my house, and I'm just sitting in my room, and all I'm using the internet for basically is a Skype call. And that Skype call is going into Guy's house, and then Guy is using OBS to combine it with his picture from his camera, and then that is being broadcast out via OBS over his internet. So all the streaming, he's doing a Skype call to me, but he's also streaming out onto the internet as well.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, that means that I often seem to look like shit as I'm coming in just on Skype, and I look like shit. But when I broadcast it and he's coming in on Skype, I look great. So I think we've identified where the issue lies. Somewhere to do with Skype.
It's weird though, because you like on my stream on OBS, you look good at the moment. You look super.
Yeah, no, I don't look bad. I'm looking
super
on YouTube.
crisp. Although,
I'm in the corner,
OBS has put you in a corner.
Yeah.
Never put Harley in a corner.
Nobody puts Harley in a
except
corner.
OBS on the stream when we go live, because that's just for some reason that's what always happens.
Well, it's not going to fix itself.
Well, that's the thing is,
you'll fix it, and then it'll bloop back to being shit again, and then you'll fix it again, and then it'll be okay.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. I think we might have that's helped things today. Studio mode has helped today. So last time we tried studio mode, flicking to studio mode, it didn't work, but this time it did. So, what's been going on in your life?
Well, it's the last show. It's the last show
pre-Christmas. We're having some pre-Christmas drinks.
Christmas 2020, and Guy is this time drinking beer, not coffee, on the show. So we're in for a loose one. Shout out to Liam Hegarty, who made that contribution towards the beers the other day. The beers, sponsored an episode of the show, Liam Hegarty. So thank you for that. And I also wanted to shout out Liam Hegarty because it's his birthday today or yesterday. So happy birthday to Liam, our dear 5150
Happy
listener.
birthday, Higgs.
Thank you for always tuning in. And our dear high school friend from many, many moons ago. I do not recall the last time I saw Liam in the flesh. Might have been 10 years. Could have been 10 years.
It's certainly been a while. No doubt it's been a while.
Shout out to Liam.
Shout out to Liam. Doing it tough. He's just got out of the Bing in Australia. They've just eased up on restrictions, and now somewhere else is going into lockdown. COVID update. We continue to live in the utopia of the world, New Zealand, where COVID is held at bay by a hair's breadth. Is that what does it say? Yeah, so a hair's breadth. We are protected by the island that we live in and the COVID laws that we have about the 14-day quarantine. But it could rear its ugly head. It has before, it has in the past. And it could happen again, but
I think it will probably happen.
Well,
again.
That's what all the specialists say.
Yeah, and also, what about the mutation that's happening in the UK? Now, I haven't actually looked too much into it, so I can't speak with any authority about anything. But I'm hearing, rumors that it's mutated in the UK.
Really,
and that it's more concerning now for some reason. So I need to read up about it, but. What happens if it mutates and has a longer gestation period than 14 days? Then New Zealand will get sucker punched. Yeah,
well, the vaccine's out. It's being sent around the place, but, does it apply to the mutation? Isn't that the whole problem with these, it's the same with the flu jab, right? You get the flu jab and then you get the flu and you're like, what happened? And they're like, well, mutation.
Well, Exactly. Yeah.
So you get COVID, everyone's got the vaccine and everyone's getting COVID. What happened? Well, it was the mutation.
Well, not to mention the fact that we don't even know if you get immunity.
No.
From it. You know, it seems like it, like you'd need to maybe get the vaccination again in a while or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, so that's concerning. But seems really distant to us, and I'm not looking forward to the day that it comes crashing back into our country.
Yeah. So at the moment, we just have to gloat from afar. Well, maybe gloat is not the right word, but
no, it's a terrible word.
Well, we were very gloaty, and then we had that other lockdown. We were gloating big time.
Serve some humble
and then
pie.
Now I thought hopefully we can all be a bit more aware of it. They've got the COVID ads on over here, and it's like, did you wash your hands, mate? Is he like, I don't know, has a sausage or something off the barbecue, and then it's like, don't, stop the spread, and it's like, I really think people have lost the message. Yes, definitely wash your hands, but these ads I don't think are doing shit, and I don't think that that's going to make anyone go, oh yeah, that's right, COVID.
I don't know. I think I buy it. It's propaganda. It's propaganda, and it's designed to work. And they've had 100 years to perfect it on us. Someone will have looked into it. They will have thought about it.
Someone will have done the market research.
They'll have a whole thing. Yeah, and they'll have a whole thing. They'll have a whole thing where they, test it with audiences and so on, and see if it's what's most effective. And they'll decide it on this type of campaign for us. A matesy summer campaign, making sure we wash our hands at the barbecue. Which, look, I'm all for it, and I think it's going to be very good for humanity to finally teach these filthy animals some fucking hygiene.
Yeah, well, look, no one is advocating for not washing hands, but I do feel like the app tracing has really gone out the window.
Oh yeah, well, I haven't really been signing in lately.
Yeah.
And I should, and I do still, but not as much as I used to.
And I see the sign, and I go, I gotta get out my phone, and I've got to lift it up, and I've got to get to the app, and I've got to hold it up. I mean, this all takes a good 10 seconds, and that's just 10 seconds too much right now as I'm walking into the supermarket to spread COVID around. This is really sounds like too much for me. So, I mean, all you see, I guess, the only thing that you see really is people with masks. People still rocking masks over here, here and there.
Sorry, I missed that. I was having audio
issues.
I just feel like I sound a little quiet on the live stream.
Oh, right.
Compared to you.
Okay.
It's okay when I'm talking, but maybe not. Yeah, but that's what I thought. I don't know. Maybe the listeners can tune in and let us know. Is one mic? Are we okay?
I'll turn you up a little bit.
It's very important. I've got lots of important things to say. It's important that people can hear me.
Up a little bit there.
Yeah. So what did you
that you see people with masks.
Oh, the mask people. Yeah.
People still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm cool with that. In fact, I would like to wear my mask more.
Especially when you're looking through other people's windows, because it's harder to be recognized when you have the mask on.
Well, there's a couple of reasons.
Hard to be identified as a pervert with the mask on.
No, I do like the masks for the cool factor, the Mortal Kombat cool factor. The dystopian future cool factor from the movies I watched when I was a kid. And anytime you want to make something look dystopian, chuck some masks on people, right? And so they do kind of feel sort of cool to wear when you're doing it casually. But also, the whole point behind wearing them actually is you've got to really respect people that wear them, because the point, right, is that it doesn't protect them from you, it protects you from them. So they're doing you a favor by saying, look, I'm sick, or I could be sick, or even if I'm not sick, I just don't want to, potentially spread anything around, and so I'm going to keep my breath in close.
Yes.
And if we all did that, respected each other, we would never catch anything.
Well,
apart from all the sex.
Yeah, they've been doing it in Japan and in China for years and years and years. It takes a global pandemic for us uncouth Westerners to take up the practice.
Us uncivilized Westerners, exactly. Yeah, no, look, it's true. It's all true. I did have a wee bit of feedback here from Chuck Black, and I always wonder the same thing about Chuck Black. How many Chucks could Chuck Black fuck if Chuck Black could fuck Chucks? I always wonder the same thing when I see that name, Chuck Black. But anyway, he had some feedback on the last episode, which was... I like some ICP. That is the Insane Clown Posse, the best rappers to come out of Detroit.
One of your favorites, yeah.
And he also says, I like Disgusting Hairy Man, of course, referring to our very first upload on the Pigville YouTube channel, which we would love you to go along and watch. Not because we really want you to watch Disgusting Hairy Man, although it is great. I do think you should watch it, but it is embarrassing for me. But anyway, we need to get our view time up. And now we'll talk about that in a minute. But so, yeah, if you go along to the Pigville channel, you can search for our oldest upload. And our oldest upload there is Disgusting Hairy Man. So anyway, he says, I like ICP. I like Disgusting Hairy Man. I like your nude business card. I like your videos and movies. In fact, I like you guys.
Oh, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you. Thank you, Chuck.
Do you like the top of Harley's head that we punched into? Good old OBS. It's not coming through that well, but here we go. I'm going to fix it temporarily. So, Well, I appreciate that, Chuck. Disgusting Hairy Man, a classic, a viral sensation of the time. It
was a global pandemic. It was the global pandemic of YouTube.
Yes. So appreciate that one. Any other listener feedback? Anything else?
No, that's all the listener feedback we currently have, and the people on the live stream. Shout out to those guys. So hopefully they tune in with some listener topics for us. So do you want to go or should I?
You go.
All right. So yesterday I was minding my business, walking down on the way to the pub, and it was about 7 p.m. and I noticed a beautiful woman walking towards me. She looked like a sort of $1 million, Ponsonby type, very well-to-do type, immaculately presented and so on. And she was walking towards me, and I noticed all of this, from a distance and in a discreet and respectful way, of course. I was just walking past, minding my business, and she was coming towards me, and I sort of thought it almost seemed like she tried to make eye contact with me, but I was like, no, that's weird. She's not trying to make eye contact with me.
Couldn't be possible.
That couldn't. That's very unlikely. So I didn't attempt to make eye contact with her or anything like that. I was just kind of aware of not making her feel uncomfortable or anything like that. Now she was walking alone, but there was a guy about 5 meters back. Walking behind her, and he was a big, lean, wiry, hard, dirty, dangerous looking, possibly homeless guy. And but I still didn't think much of it. I mean, people walk places. You're allowed to look tough and walk places. That's fine. But then just as I passed him, so I passed her, and she was walking towards me. They're both walking towards me. I passed her, and 5 meters later, just as I passed him, he yelled, "Take your clothes off!" to her.
Which is...
And it was sort of 7 p.m. It was getting late-ish, and there was not really anybody else around. And as a gentleman, I was aghast. Obviously, it was highly offensive to my sensibilities. And I'm proud to say that I instantly and without thinking interjected. I said, "Oi, leave her alone."
Yeah.
Of course, assuming that he would be shamed into silence by being called out and sort of pull his head in, However, I was somewhat perturbed, surprised, concerned when he stopped, turned around and faced me and said, "Ah, fuck off, cunt. Do you want to fucking smack?" To which I heroically replied, "No, I don't." So he said, "Take your clothes off then." To which I said, "No." And he said, "Well, get out of here then, or I'll hook you up the ass instead." Now, my South Dunedin hood rat senses were tingling, and I could tell that this was not the type of individual that I wanted to provoke at this particular stage in his life. And I knew that with my flabby dad bod and my stubby Tyrannosaurus Rex arms, I was unlikely to win any sort of bout, against him. And even if I did, there's no glory in beating up a homeless man anyway. No matter how terrifying and towering and gargantuan this particular one was. And so anyway, that's okay, because winning the bout was not my objective at this juncture. You see, the objective now was simply to give her enough time to increase the distance between her and him while he was distracted with me, before I then would gallantly fall back to a more easily defensible position.
Which, that being your house. With the door closed and locked.
Yes. Or any place really within sprintable distance while wearing piss-filled jeans, And piss-filled jeans are way heavier than normal jeans, by the way. I know that because I'm a South Dunedin street rat.
And so what happened after that?
Well, I'm proud to say that I succeeded in my objective of distracting him, and she had indeed increased the gap. But he followed her, so he turned around. He left. So he sort of turned around. He decided that I was not what he was interested in, I guess, and so he turned around, and he yelled to her, "Sorry, miss, is that guy bothering you?" And then he yelled something like "Guy Smiley looking motherfucker."
Okay.
Which I googled Guy Smiley because obviously you're Guy Pigden. People call you Guy Smiley.
I've been compared to Guy Smiley in the past.
Now I never really knew who Guy Smiley was.
He looks nothing like you.
Is this Pee Wee Herman? Is it like a Pee Wee Herman person? Who's Guy Smiley? And then I Google it today. It's a fucking puppet, and it does kind of look like you.
It looks like me.
Looks like Alex
thick eyebrows
from. Yeah. There's definitely a resemblance for you and Guy Smiley, I would say. But for me, absolutely
not at all.
No. I'm more like one of those Muppets that sits up in the old men in the banister. In the
two
balcony.
old men there.
Yeah. And so, yes, that was really kind of that. I was just sort of there, and I kind of just stayed at my station until, observing my enemy's movements until, she had reached her car and was safe. And then my work done, I blended back into the shadows, ready to strike fear into the next thug rapist unfortunate enough to cross my path.
That was that Homer Simpson backing away through the hedge moment.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. It's good to hear. It's good to hear that, that's you saved that woman. You saved that woman's life, maybe.
Yeah. Well, potentially. I certainly saved her from an uncomfortable situation at minimum.
So that's good to hear. And, your heroics will not be forgotten because you told us about it on the podcast. Because you bragged about it on the podcast. So they won't be forgotten.
Well, to be fair,
they will not be forgotten.
Sure
they will not grow old.
Yeah. So, lest we forget, lest you guys forget, lest anybody else forget. But also, look, let's be real. She went home that night and she told somebody about my heroism that day, and about how she was glad that I interjected because
she was,
evil.
She was like, thankfully, some Guy Smiley looking motherfucker interjected at just the right time and gave me enough time for me to get to my car. Bless him.
Yeah. Bless him.
Bless Guy Smiley.
Well, I was the hero in her story because she would have, if I had been silent, right? That there's that saying or what, I don't know what it is. I can't remember exactly what it is now. But silence always helps the attacker, not the victim. So saying nothing is not on. So call it out when you see it. Call it out when you see it, men and women, everybody.
Well done.
Thank you. Been waiting years to hear you say that.
To say those two words.
This is a great episode.
Yeah, so that's good. A noble, so what do I have to talk about? Nothing as exciting as that's for sure.
Wow. All right. Oh, I can't wait. We're not going to talk about the PC-ness, are we?
No, there's no sort of new updates on the PC, except I did take one of our Sifty Sexy 160. Is it Sexy 160 now?
No, so I think it's officially Sifty 160.
Okay. I thought you changed it to
Sifty
Sexy.
150. No, I did, but I was just trying out a few different, iterations of what it's going to be. So for people who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, we are, of course, referring to our loyal listeners that tune in every week on the Guy and Harley podcast. The Sifty 160. Yeah. The Sifty 160 of the natural evolution past the Sifty 150. Yeah. It's easier to remember.
So one of our listeners from the Sifty 160, Bernie Rao, recommended that I try some different RAM in my PC. So I have made that adjustment, and it is running slightly better. So that's good news, apart from it not registering the fucking camera today before we logged on. But apart from that, yes, it's been all right. So,
well, I don't know. I was going to say, what about the Christmas plans?
Well, the Christmas plans, we were having a big Christmas Eve Orphans Christmas. So what has now become customary, it only happened once last year, but now it's a tradition. That we throw a sort of a Christmas drinks at my place for orphans, and just that
all those little children with no parents running around.
I take them under my wing.
Poor, you take them off the street
and
help solve Auckland's orphans problem.
Those poor 36-year-old orphans who've moved out of homes and families don't want to hang out with them anymore. Those are the people that we take in. those people in their mid-30s to mid-40s. Who don't want to hang out with their families. We take them in. We do the good deed of taking them in, and so we're doing that on Christmas Eve because I am going to see my actual family on Christmas Day. But unfortunately, Harley, one of the key ingredients to the orphans, is not going to be there. So you dropped the bombshell that it's going to be a Christmas-less,
just before we went on air,
Christmas-less barbecue for the Pigville team.
Yeah, a merriment-less Christmas. Well, I dropped that bombshell just before the show. So if you're wondering if why Guy's been a little choked up and you can hear his quiver in his voice all this episode, it's because I just dropped the bombshell news that I will not be making it to the Orphans Christmas party on Christmas Eve. Yep. I did want to go. I had planned on going. Was quite looking forward to it, but I have opted instead to go and spend time with my family. Visit my granddad. Visit my granddad on the way, and then go and visit my mum and my sister. So I happen to have a bunch of days off work. I just happen to have them off. I just happen to have some days off work at the moment.
Out of the blue.
And just out of the blue. And so I happen to have some time off, and so I'm off. I'm off to go see family. I'm gonna go do that instead, which is probably for the best. I can party with Guy another time, and then if I stay up here, then that means on Christmas Day itself, while Guy is down south enjoying time with his family, I'll be sitting in this little basement that I live in, with not necessarily anywhere to go. So I think it's the thing to do.
Well, if you do hear a quiver in my voice, it was obviously the loss of the Pigville Christmas, but also the loss of your barbecue, which obviously, if you're not there, the barbecue's not there either. And I was really relying on that to cook the sausages. So,
well, you can still have the barbecue. You just can't have the person.
Can't have the chef.
Can't have the chef. Exactly.
So tragedy struck twice for Christmas for me. But yeah, so that is a bit of a shame for sure. But we will just have to soldier on. Now, we should probably segue into this is a filmmaking podcast.
It's a podcast about our
lives.
And
this one is a film-centric podcast because a lot has been going on in the film world.
You say it's a film-centric one. You say it's a film-centric one, and yet the listeners will be happy to hear that after this film story, I've got an update on Spermquest, my bid to impregnate up to 5 women and create up to 10 babies. So is it film-centric or is it going to be sperm-centric? We'll see.
So Warner Brothers have announced through their streaming service that they're going to be releasing all of the movies that they were going to be releasing in cinemas next year are now also
simultaneously
going to be releasing on their streaming HBO Max. And it's caused a bit of a brouhaha amongst the rich elite directors of which these movies are the ones that are being streamed. And I definitely have some mixed feelings about this, but essentially what they're saying is like, look, we can readdress this in 2022, but in 2021 we want to give people the streaming option as well, because how many people are really going to be getting out to the cinema? There's a global pandemic. We can't we can't postpone all the movies that we postponed until next year. We can't just keep postponing movies. That's not how business works. So we're going to put it out on streaming. So to some people that's been met with rapturous applause, kind of forward thinking, embracing the future, embracing the reality of COVID, and to be fair, giving people a safe option to view their entertainment when
hashtag stay
at home, which they otherwise would not have. But then other people, and by other people I mean Christopher Nolan, is throwing a little tanty about it, and is sort of like
I'm fucking sick of that guy.
There was a big black mark on his name for making the audio in Tenet completely unintelligible on purpose. That's
an insult. That's an insult to a ticket holder.
Well, it is a little bit, and it's also
a big fuck you to
it's
the
also
viewer who paid
It's also
money.
like almost just being too cool for school. As a director who's too cool for school because he's like, you know what, I want to do it this way, and everyone's like, but no one can hear shit, and he's like, but I'm Christopher Nolan, and I want you to not be able to hear shit. Do you understand? I want you to accept my artistic interpretation of not hearing shit. You get me?
What do you think his logic was? Do you think that his, truly beneath it all, do you think his logic was, because this is all I can think of, his logic was real life is crazy and unscripted,
chaotic,
and you don't always know what's going on. It's chaotic. Sometimes you don't hear things. Shit just kind of happens, and sometimes you have to think about it and figure it out later, and all that type of thing. Do you think maybe that was his angle? He was like, I'm using the audio to truly immerse the person in this as if it's real life. Or do you think he's just a fucking dumbass?
I think, that's good. I think that what he was thinking about, I think there's two things. This is always what happens in an edit. When you look at an edit, and you look at scenes thousands of times over and over again, you, the director, knows exactly what's going on. You know every word, you know every line, you know every single little detail and nuance of every moment.
Every stupid face that
Every
Harley
stupid
pulls.
face. You're familiar, you know it like the back of your hand, right? And so with that familiarity comes an assumption that familiarity translates to the casual viewer. It's not something, it's, that's a sort of an unconscious thing that you project onto the thing, and then people sort of come out and tell you, hey, Chris, I didn't understand a fucking word of that, and it really annoyed me. And you just go, wait, but it was all there. I heard everything. I sat with you in the cinema and I heard it. And I heard every single thing.
But that's quite a rookie. That would be a very rookie sort of mistake to make, though, right? Because like obviously he's made quite a lot of movies.
But I think it's working in conjunction, because people must have said that to him, right? And he vetoed them, like
presumably, which is why I'm looking for this. So this other explanation.
But I think that what you say, like, that ties into it. And I also think that what he was thinking about it on this kind of heightened fucking super director nerd level was like, no. See, what I'm getting them to do is through layering the sound design in this way, I'm choosing what they sonically focus on, and I'm making that choice rather than doing the traditional way of it being the voices of people. I am choosing what I present to them sonically. This is a whole new thing. No one's ever done this before. This is completely new. I'm a genius. Plus, I am overly familiar with this story that I've seen a million times. So to me, even those inaudible things are actually relatively audible to me. Plus, I see this in the very best cinemas everywhere. I don't see it in the shitty cinemas with all the plebs. I don't see it at fucking St. Luke's Cinema. I see it in my fucking mansion suite IMAX house that I live in. And it sounds great to me with all those things going around in my brain. And, he can't now turn around and go, you know what? I kind of fucked it up, guys. And, that was dumb.
And also, life is chaotic. Probably add that.
Oh, no, absolutely. So all of those things, is probably why that happened. And, he has been inching closer to that with everything. He's also clearly a big fan of, like, wanting to tell the story with music. But, because you can hear that in his fucking scores that blast out your ear holes every time, is like he's been pushing closer with Batman Begins and Bane's fucking voice, and Interstellar with the fucking organs fucking grinding your ears off with the fucking whatever that score was, like, Jesus Christ. But
I don't remember it being bad.
He was just inching ever closer to this singularity of his music and the audio of people talking being mixed to the point of unintelligible madness. And that's where we've reached with him. The apex this is the apex of that.
So I should really watch that movie.
You should probably watch it. So, because now you can watch it with the subtitles.
I'll watch the cleaned up.
You can watch it with the subtitles. And in fact, I got my dad. Spoiler alert. He's probably not going to listen to this before Christmas.
Whoa! I haven't seen
that. But
you're telling him?
I just got my dad this. I got it because I think it's a good film if you could understand it.
Yeah.
And so I got it to him, and I'm going to be like, look, I'm not sure if you caught this, but let's watch it together with the subtitles, and we'll know what the fuck this was all about. So that's my sort of that was my Christmas present. So spoiler, sorry, nice. Dad, if you're listening to this.
If you're listening. Does he tune in?
He does.
Xena does.
Shout out to Xena.
Shout out
to Abby, who also listens quite frequently.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not sure I think he may do sometimes, I'm not sure. But anyway, he's had this to say, Nolan. Warner Brothers had an incredible machine for getting a filmmaker's work out everywhere, both in theaters and in the home. And they are dismantling it as we speak. They don't even understand what they're losing. Their decision makes no economic sense. And even the most casual Wall Street investor can see the difference between disruption and dysfunction. Now, the problem with this whole idea is because essentially what he's saying is you're killing your...
It's just an old-fashioned. But he's essentially saying these putting it out online is going to result in less return,
less box office return. But I guess
but it's like obviously they put them in both.
And
places.
also, I don't think.
And they don't care about box office specifically. That's just one branch of their money-making machine now, and it needs to perform.
And also, like, to me, that whole statement is incorrect because essentially, for a $200 or $300 million film like his films are, you then have to spend an extra $200 million or $250 million on marketing. For it to make that kind of box office impact globally, to make say $1 billion globally, right? But if you invest all that marketing and you get 50 million, which is, or maybe like 60, 70 million, which is what Tenet is at the moment, this is a huge money losing proposition. So actually, no, you have to do it streaming and you should scale back cinema. And I'm speaking from a cinema goer, a cinema lover.
But why is Tenet only made 60? Just because it's a flop or something to do with the
COVID? So this is based on that's the box office gross in America. And you're talking like, his last film was like 200 and something million.
But we're going to have COVID next year and these guys are going to be releasing all the same. So isn't it the opposite? Isn't essentially COVID fucked him? And if his film had been available instantly as a stream, he would have made a lot more money.
Well,
it would have made a lot more money.
Potentially.
Isn't he essentially arguing like it's dumb, right? He's saying that COVID, he's saying that this film didn't work because of COVID, but of course COVID meant that people weren't going to cinemas, but the film wasn't available as a stream, so therefore he missed out on all of those sales. Because he was only available in cinemas, which was dumb.
During a pandemic. Yeah, during a pandemic.
Exactly, right? So he's essentially arguing against his point.
Well, it's...
Am I eating crazy pills here? Am I eating fucking crazy pills? Am I not making
I think
sense?
the reality is that he's eating crazy pills in the sense that he's coming at this from an incredibly rich, successful director who wants to see his films as he intended for them to be, which is in the cinema, where they truly can be enjoyed and digested, in the best possible fashion. And now that cannot be, unfortunately, for most people, and shouldn't be realistically. There's another thing here of like.
So shouldn't I don't understand why he wouldn't be arguing for it. Like I get the idea. It's not as good at home. You're watching it on your laptop. It's not as good. I get it, and it's not how he intended it. But in terms of the financials, right? You'd go, he's going to make a lot more money probably in the times of COVID, if he puts out a film and people can watch it instantly, or they can go to the cinema in countries where they can, then he's getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And he's going to make more money.
Yeah.
Not less, because more people are going to see it. And if you want an example of this, look at Tenet, which everyone's talking about, but it's only made $60 million.
Well, I guess what his point is that if you provide that other option, no one will go to the cinema. It's like, cool, I can watch it for free. Or I can brave the pandemic outside, the raging pandemic outside, to go and sit in a cinema, with 3 empty seats next to me, it's rich person problems. That's really what it is. It's like someone's so rich and successful that he can't see the forest for the trees, and in the sense of the reality of what cinema going is going to be next year.
Exactly. The reality, but also even if it wasn't, even without the pandemic just accelerated everything. But their business model was failing because they had to charge so much in order to pay their overheads, in order to pay their staff, all that type of thing. You have to go in there and you have to be happy to pay so much money to get in, but then also a $10 popcorn and a $10 Coke, and the $50 worth of parking, and you end up spending $100 to go to the movies, and it's like, cool, well, we're sorry, we the consumer are sorry, but obviously if there's another option that doesn't cost $100, we're going to take it more often. But the issue is the business model. Like they need another way to make that work, because you can't be passing on expenses that big, because the cinema experience is good, but it's not $100 good. Well, $50 probably. Easy spend $50 for 2 people. If you want 2 tickets and you don't get a Coke, you just get 2 tickets and 1 box of popcorn between you, and you get a free park. That's $50.
Yeah.
If you have to pay for parking, if you have to buy an ice cream,
Skyrockets.
all the rest of it, it skyrockets, right? So don't pass it on to us. We're sorry, the experience is not quite good enough for us to actually justify that kind of expenditure when we can do it at home, and we can.
Yeah, it's true. But it also may mean, like to play devil's advocate to some degree, it may mean that these big budget films will have to be scaled way back.
Go the way of the dodo.
Because the revenue that you'll generate from streaming is not comparable to the revenue you generate from streaming after a successful cinema release. And so, that's the obviously the, it's sort of, again, it's very rich director problems because, there's only a select few that are making those types of films, anyway. But obviously you don't want
those films to
you don't want those toys taken away.
No, absolutely not.
So and
they employ people.
Yeah, and like I like this is the thing, it's like we're both Christopher Nolan fans, right? In terms of his films. So
so Interstellar was good. Inception.
Yeah.
Did you do that one? Yeah, that was good. What else is this kid done?
The Prestige.
I don't think I saw that one.
Good. I'll speak to that. That's a good one. Of course, the real kind of gem of his starting career, Memento.
Oh, he made that one. Oh, yeah. Oh, I like this guy. He's a good guy. I like this guy. No, we should listen to him. He's probably got something to say. He's probably got something worth saying. He knows what he's doing. Yeah, no, we talk about this guy. Yeah.
But obviously, he made a rare war film that you detest, that being Dunkirk.
Yeah, that was a bit of a turd. I'm glad they made it. I'm still glad they made it, but it was a bit of a turd.
Yes,
a bit of an overrated turd.
Yes,
but just a disappointing war film.
Yeah,
where's the blood and guts? Where is that?
Well,
show me the bloody.
Well, that's a good segue into our next segment, which is Tom Cruise losing his fucking temper on set over COVID. So
yes.
Surely you've heard about this. Now, I was going to say, what I'd like to do is for you to play that right now. But I'm going to assume that you're not going to do that, and you're going to be too lazy to find that and put it in. Am I correct?
That is very insulting. I would be more than happy to put it in. However, I may or may not have time because I am leaving to go driving on a big road trip.
I can...
But I will do my damn.
I was going to say, you don't have to if I just do the impression of Tom Cruise right now, losing his shit, and I just say all the things that he says. Are you ready?
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are the gold standard. They're back here in Hollywood making movies right now because of us. Because they believe in us and what we're doing. I'm on the phone with every fucking studio at night, insurance companies, producers, and they're looking at us and using us to make their movies. We are creating thousands of jobs, you motherfuckers. I don't even want to see it again, ever. And if you don't do it, you're fired. If I see you do it again, you're fucking gone. And anyone on this crew does it, that's it. And you too. And you too. And you. If you ever do it again, that's it. No apologies. You can tell it to the people who are losing their fucking homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay their college education. That's what I sleep with every night. The future of this fucking industry. So I'm sorry, but I am beyond your apologies. I have told you, and now I want it, and if you don't do it, you're out. We are not shutting this fucking movie down. Is it understood? If I see it again, you're fucking gone. And so are you. And so you're gonna cost him his job. If I see it on the set, you're gone and you're gone. That's it. Am I clear? Do you understand what I want? Okay. We're almost got to the end, but
but you ran out of steam. You're not as fit as Tom Cruise.
It's too tiring to keep going. And also, I do have neighbours, so they're probably not very happy.
What is 10 p.m. on a Tuesday? but no, that was actually a very good impression. I actually think that was very good because I listened to the audio too, and that was a pretty good impression. It was really good. It was as if you had practiced that a few times, or at least listened to it a lot. I was like, how's he kept it sounding like the original? But you managed to. It was good. I was like, oh, that's spot on. So, so we'll have to cut part of
absolutely.
that and use it for some new
we've
segment,
got to go
like the Christian Bale.
It's got to go on a new segment. Of course, it does harken back to the beloved Christian Bale skit.
Christian Bale one, which people love the Christian Bale when we put the Christian Bale in every time I have an audition. It happens less and less lately.
So now there are some differences from him. From Christian Bale losing his temper, and there are some similarities. Now, what's
well, it's interesting to see that Tom Cruise is an advocate of collective punishment. Do you know who else is an advocate of collective punishment?
Who?
Hitler and the Nazis.
Bring it back to Hitler.
If one person does something, they will kill, the person next to you as well, or kill everybody in the village or whatever to punish a few partisans, right? And he, in his rant, was like, if I see you do it again, and what he's referring to there, just so as people who want some context, so that's him losing his shit because there was two people who were within 1 meter apart of each other, looking at a computer on set. So they were leaning over each other, looking at a computer. But over there, obviously, COVID. Do you remember where they're filming?
I think it's over in the UK actually, or it was the UK.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. You're right. Fucking hell. Yeah. So they're all spread out. Now listen, he's fucking stressed. He's stressed. Leave the poor guy alone. The whole fucking industry is waiting on his shoulder. He's got the future of the entire
college
industry.
educations.
Little shoulders. College educations are on his shoulders. So cut him some slack. And it is COVID and hundreds of millions of dollars and all that. And he's the face of it. So, you can see how to be stressed. But yeah, it was two people leaning over a computer and they weren't social distancing. They were within a meter of each other. So I'm sure that's going to turn into all sorts of hilarious memes.
Yeah.
But yes, so where did we get to?
Well, what was your take? Was he justified in losing his temper, or was that taking it too far?
I mean, obviously it was too far, but you can see why he'd be so stressed. But the collective punishment, that was it. He was going to, so he said, and if I see you, he goes, you're both fired if I see you doing it again. And then he yells at one of the guys and says, and if I see you doing it again, you're fired. And he's fired. So you're costing him his job. So he was literally on a collective punishment the other guy if he sees one of them doing it.
Yeah.
It's a very Stalin-esque.
Well, I guess what I want is even more context, right? What I want to know is because Tom Cruise is one of the producers on this thing, right?
I yelled at you like that on some of our sets.
You're
sometimes.
Fucking gone.
I was like, you're fucking gone. The weight of his job, his college education is on my shoulders. On the set of Emmy the Vegan.
It was standing. I was leaning in too close to talk to the director of photography. I was leaning in too close, looking at his camera. So for me, what I want to know is this just him just randomly kind of turning on a dime, right? Or is this he's come several times, he's warned several people, and then he just gets to set, the next time he gets to set, it's the same shit over and over again of people not respecting these very stringent rules that must be taken very, very seriously. Because
you know what's great? You can hear that he's wearing a mask as well. You can hear it in his voice. His voice is muffled. You can hear that he's wearing a mask.
Yeah. So, because I feel like if this is not the first time, not the second time, but it's a bunch of times, and then it's just how many fucking times do I have to tell you guys? The only way that I'm going to drill this in is if I have a little moment right now, because that's the only way I can get across the gravity of this, because no one's taking this seriously. And also, COVID is very serious.
Well, absolutely. I mean, like, like he hasn't lost any fucking fans over it, has he? Like Christian Bale came across as a bit of a dick, like a bit of, it was funny, but he came across as a cock, whereas in this case, Tom Cruise is yelling and screaming and ranting, but it's kind of, it's not justified. It is a big overreaction, but he's on the right side at least.
I feel like half of that would have been justified. It's just that just went on a bit too long, and he brought in the college educations and all that stuff. It was a bit much, but
yeah.
Like to me, I was like, you know what, dude's got a point, and I was like, I was like, this is, someone could contract COVID on that set. It could shut down the whole set, and also that one of those people or that person that contracted it could die, and that's really fucking serious because COVID is really serious. So you should treat it with, the utmost severity. In terms of how stringent you are and how much you adhere to those safety protocols. So I was kind of like, yeah, fair enough, Tom. Like, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. But I also would see that, obviously the news and media spin won't be that. It'll be like, Tom Cruise loses his temper. He's a crazy star. He can't control himself. And I don't really think that's the case. Although, and this is another interesting thing too, is like, how did this recording leak? Well, someone was clearly someone hit record on their iPhone in their pocket while he was doing all this, right?
Yeah. So for me, I was like, that must mean he does it all the time.
And
right, like they were like, I've heard enough of this.
I've got to.
He keeps
got to
doing
commit
this, and I'm going to record this one, and I'm going to fucking leak it.
Yeah.
If it's normally Tom Cruise and he's a nice guy, it's not a big deal. Maybe they don't do that. But it's like, okay, this cunt's always flipping his fucking work. I'm going to record him next time. You can't talk to people like that. You can't fucking talk to people like that. Tom, doesn't matter if you're Tom Cruise. Can't talk to people like that. So maybe that suggested that he had done it a bunch of times. But of course, the flip side of that is that, it's freaking Tom Cruise going nuts and it's viral gold. And if you can, record it,
so there's some advantage. Yeah, that's the thing is like, because, once upon a time, and I think that's the other thing is too, we all go, oh, Tom Cruise goes crazy on set. This is this is a big news story, right? It's only a big news story because we all have recordable devices everywhere, right? However, had you been on big Hollywood sets for the last 50 years, this is probably something that happens with great regularity. So we're sort of now, just because of the way the world is, we're getting a window. And also, once upon a time, probably someone would have taken that to a news source and they would have gone, oh, we can't use that. That's a breach of privacy. I'm sorry, we can't breach that.
You recorded him illegally. And,
we'll also have to report you to Tom Cruise. And we'll be reporting this to Tom Cruise. I'm sorry. Once upon a time. So the idea now too, that, someone recorded this audio and they just hit upload, to an anonymous YouTube account or whatever, or gave it to whoever and then suddenly it was a thing, is, a unique thing. But I just don't think it's, like rich, powerful people losing their shit on set is probably a very common occurrence, whether it's Tom Cruise or whoever else. And so it's maybe not really newsworthy.
I wonder if it was one of the guys that was getting yelled at
that hit the record,
that leaked it.
Yeah,
that recorded it. Could be, right. Like that from their perspective, it could be a good insurance policy for if he does fire them. And I don't know if Tom Cruise has commented on his outburst. I'm just looking that up. I don't think it's going to do him any disservices. I actually think that basically a boss grilling some underlings about following COVID protocol. And sure, I mean, it was a bit abrasive. Okay, it was obviously a bit heightened. But I do also, let's be real. He is shooting in the UK during a global pandemic where they've just had a mutant strain, and there's hundreds of millions of dollars at stake, and it's been probably on again and off again for all this time. Well, it has been on again and off again for all this time.
And they're probably always on the verge of being shut down because of that.
If one single person on his set shows up with COVID and spreads it, it's a huge pile of shit in his lap. and it's highly likely. So I feel like a lot of people would actually, be siding with him on this one. They go, yeah, well, you would be fucking irate when there's $100 million or $1 billion revenue at stake, or, you would kind of go, hey, this is worth yelling about. And we have had several conversations about it, because you have to assume, right, that it wasn't like they've got a real lax set and then he showed up and yelled at someone. You have to assume that for the duration of the shoot, after having been stopped and started so many times, they have been really careful with social distancing and, using my condom wall when they want to have sex. They just have a big curtain between them, a big see-through perspex curtain with a cock hole and a condom in there, and then that's how they're all having sex and so on. So probably actually it was justified, and he's not going to lose any fans over it.
Yeah, no, look, so we're pro Tom Cruise here on the podcast. In terms of,
I wasn't on board with the Scientology.
Yeah, no, we're not Scientologist advocates.
No,
but
no, I'm a science.
But we are Tom Cruise losing it on set to maintain safety protocols during COVID. So there you go. That's where we sit on that one.
We so jumping on couches, no. Yelling at subordinates, yes.
So now obviously, again, we're on this whole filmmaking topic, filmmaking buzz. Now, have you been watching The Mandalorian, Harley?
I have not been watching The Mandalorian. You might recall that after Star Wars, the last time I watched, The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi, and I call it The Last Time.
You swore that you'd never watch another Star Wars thing again.
Yeah, exactly. Because this watered down schlock that has been passed off as Star Wars ever since The Phantom Menace and that trilogy. That trilogy is canon. That trilogy is canon. Everything after the Phantom Menace trilogy
is not
is just not canon. It's just watered down schlock, and it's not good, and it's not doing anything for the legacy of Star Wars, as far as I'm concerned. And when you see how many productions that Disney has planned, you're like, holy shit, they're just going to wring this until we hate it. They're just going to wring every cent out of it until we hate it with every inch of our being. And then that is the day that the fandom will realize that they've been, it's a double-edged sword, what they've been given.
So I'm quite
enjoying
The Mandalorian. I think it's pretty solid.
Well, I've only heard good things. Apparently it's very, very good. Apparently it's a very good twist at the end of season 2, which everyone's talking about.
Can we talk about that?
No, obviously not. I haven't.
Well, you're not going to watch it.
I've just said that I'm a big fan of Star
Wars.
What platform can I watch The Mandalorian on?
Disney Plus.
I do actually have. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I feel like I got some free Disney Plus somehow, and I mucked around on it the other day, but it was shit, and I was like, fuck it, I'm outsies, and so I just Netflixed it. But if it was on Netflix, I would definitely give it a.
It will not be on Netflix ever.
Yeah, well, I'm probably not going to give it a hoon, but I still don't really want to know about the twist.
Really?
The spoiler. Look, there's people out there who haven't seen it, just like you.
I'd tell you, well, we're sort of...
You can't have spoilers. So I'm a very anti-spoiler
It's a week after the show. The people that haven't watched it can tune out.
Well, all right. Fucking see ya.
Harley's left. Harley's left the podcast. Well, I'm just going to... So, hit pause on your thing now if you haven't watched The Mandalorian. Okay.
Right. Hit pause?
Hit pause on the podcast.
How long are you going to talk about this for? 10 minutes?
Skip for the next 5. You'll be safe.
Oh, we never talk for 5. This is going to be 55 minutes of pure
Skip
Star
for
Wars.
5. Okay, so here's the big twist. Digital Luke Skywalker shows up at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. And when I mean digital Luke Skywalker, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, de-aged Luke Skywalker.
And they used his ghost. They did a Ouija board and they brought back his ghost, like they have done with Leia and like they did with fucking General Tolkien, Colonel Tolkien.
Harley. Mark Hamill's not dead. Okay? He's not dead.
Oh, right. Oh, no, all right.
So they didn't have to.
Oh, okay.
All they had to,
they just
de-age him. So Digital Luke Skywalker showed up. Most people were a fan. I thought it was pretty cool. Some people were like, "Oh, you're just doing it to pay. You're just doing it as fan service." And
well, the whole series is just
exactly
everything.
literally
everything since the Phantom Menace
it's
trilogy
fan service.
is fan service.
So to me that didn't make sense. I thought it was fine. I thought it was cool. I like seeing Digital Luke. I now want to see Digital Luke in his own series, his own sort of spin-off, which I'm sure this was testing the waters for to some degree. Like, can we do it? Will they buy Digital Luke?
Will they actually need real Mark Hamill to do much of anything? Or will he just do the voice? Just be another animation gig for him, like Batman?
Well, I think they need his face. So they need his face and his voice. And then they'd probably have a young, fit guy walking. So it'll be his head on a stuntman's body. And de-aged. And I'm okay with all of that.
Fuck, that'd be a sweet gig. They go, hey, so you're the lead actor in this, except for you don't have to do anything with your face or your voice. All you've got to do is walk around places where we tell you to. That's a fucking sweet acting gig there.
Yep. So that may be happening in the future. We don't know. But they announced a whole bunch of other Star Wars spin-offs. And I do think you're right, Harley, that you did actually hit the nail on the head there where you said that essentially they were going to kind of force feed us this Star Wars, the fans, this stuff, till we wanted to vomit it up. You know, we got to the point you just stuffed it down our gullet till we were like, actually, now I feel sick. This is making me feel ill. And that's where we're going to get to. And I feel like we're certainly getting to saturation point because so to me, there's a couple that I like the sound of. Well, actually, there was just one, which is, there's two. So there's the Obi-Wan Kenobi spin-off, which is about him being a hermit on Tatooine. Now, presumably, it turns out that actually he did lots of exciting things when he was a hermit out on Tatooine. And he didn't just sit in his little cave, although it would be hilarious to kind of do a whole season of him just hanging out in his cave and just be like, swerve, bro. What did you think was going to happen?
Just a YouTube
skit. What did you think?
Just a YouTube skit of him in his cave.
What did you think was going to happen? He's been told to wait in the cave. He's got to wait there for 30 years.
I should do this in my wee cave that I live in now. I should do a parody of it for YouTube. It's me. I'm Obi-Wan. And basically I just spend 30 years diddling about. And that's the whole
watching
show.
Netflix. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi watching Netflix.
Yeah,
so there's that one. So that will probably be good. There's Ashoka, which is based on a character who's just showed up in The Mandalorian, but she was made famous in the Clone Wars animated series, played by the supremely hot Rosario Dawson. Supremely hot Rosario Dawson.
Is this your new Katie Holmes?
Yeah, well, look.
Or no, Natalie Portman. Sorry, is this your new Natalie Portman?
Yeah. I would say so. So. So that could also be good. But then we've got these crazy ones like Rangers of the New Republic. Set within the timeline of The Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic is a live-action series that will intersect with future stories and culminate into a climactic story event. Now, these Rangers have been introduced as kind of like side people that help the Mandalorian along his quest. And it's like, who fucking cares? That sounds stupid.
Well, look, we all like climaxes.
A climax to a story event. And then there's Andor.
They're onto something.
Andor is a tense, nail-biting spy thriller starring Diego Luna reprising his role of the rebel spy Cassian Andor from Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Again.
Now, we're talking about the guy from Game of Thrones,
I believe so.
Yep, who plays the guy from Across the Seas?
That's there to avenge someone, and he gets his head exploded.
Yeah, he gets his head crushed by the mountain.
That's him.
Yeah. Yep, that's him.
So, but again, it's like, do we really want to know what he's been doing?
Martell. Someone Martell. But yes, the answer is yes. We definitely want to know what these obscure back characters have been up to.
Yeah.
But only if they're cool and popular. It's just like, this is how they select who should be the next celebrities in real life. Everybody's got this testing ground, which is the internet, and then they select from the internet people who have got a following in some way, and then they boost them and turn them into stars. And it's the same on Star Wars. They look at these characters, these background characters, and they go, all right, so who's been popular on the internet, and let's boost their story based on how much attention they're getting. So obviously you got old Martell from Game of Thrones.
They liked him.
And he was also in series that I watched. I watched like 5 seasons of it. Can't remember, but it's about drug dealers in Mexico. No, I watched that too. The one that was about that
drug dealer.
Yeah, lots of drug dealers. So anyway, he was in that. So he's a popular dude as well. So, and a cool character, and people like him, and people are like attracted to him. He's obviously a good-looking actor. So you can see why they'd choose him. It's like why has Baby Yoda got a spin-off
Not
yet?
yet, but you will be pleased to know that
Pablo Escobar.
That's the one.
Was the series Narcos. That's it. Narcos is but he was in the Mexico one, not the Colombia one, which is Pablo. But yes,
Anakin Skywalker will be returning.
Yeah. But no Baby Yoda spin-off, because obviously Baby Yoda is the whole reason that the Mandalorian is successful, right? Like nobody's heard of anything about the Mandalorian except for Baby Yoda.
It's a contributing factor for sure.
There's a twist at the end of season 2, right?
Lando Calrissian will be having a spin-off.
Oh my God. Now, look, I do think it is good. At the end of the day, I often say on this show that I only support 2 types of films at the cinema. Sci-fi, big budget sci-fi, and war films. And the logic is that I want to help humanity continue learning about the past and pondering the future. And so these are the reasons why I support those 2 films. I think those types of films, the story's worth telling, And so,
keep talking for a second.
I'll keep talking. All right. So I guess, the point is that people will start thinking about the future more. And when we get all these kids out there and they're going out and they're watching Star Wars and all these other people. So look, can it really be that bad? I don't think so, personally. I think that's what we want. We want people wondering about a good, exciting future instead of being fixated on all the problems we have here on Earth currently. So, big budget sci-fi. Even though I'm not supporting it, and I'm not going to go watch any of it, I am glad that you guys are all watching it.
And you've banned Star Wars, which means you've banned all of these things.
Yes, but I was just saying that I do encourage them to go watch them. Nevertheless, because they'll probably enjoy them more than me anyway.
Sure.
But yeah, they'll probably enjoy them more than me anyway. I don't know. Maybe I'm just old and bitter.
Well, that's definitely likely.
Part of it. But I don't know. Like, I just didn't think the latest films were really very good. Like, I watched them and I was like, some of them were like literally just a retelling of the original ones. I was like, so there's the big Death Star-like thing, and there's the Darth Vader-like character, and then there's the young person learning their powers who needs to defeat this Darth Vader-like character in the big Death Star-like thing. It was just the same story retold, and then they continued, and I was just like, and they just didn't quite feel Star Warsy enough. I don't know.
No, look,
it was like basically it was fan fiction, and it was fan fiction, and fan fiction's fine, but I'm not going to spend all day watching this shit.
I'm not an advocate of the new Star Wars. I was not really big on them. I didn't like how they killed all my beloved characters. Like the turning point.
I was cool with that bit. I liked how they killed all the beloved characters.
I was not on board.
Sometimes you've got to kill your baby.
Don't have to kill them.
I did feel like Han Solo died a pretty lame death.
So did Luke. He fucking had a heart attack on his little podium.
Well, he didn't even confront anybody in real life. He just telekinesis.
He force ghosted his way into the thing and stalled a bunch of people. It's like, look, I feel like you
like, thanks for
you could have been much
Luke,
better served staying alive and not having a heart attack and actually getting into some fucking legit battles with your massive fucking force powers. It's so stupid.
Yeah. Well, it's true, because he could have been a Yoda-like character. It wouldn't matter that he's old and is not necessarily like, in the best physical health. Old Yoda still kicks some butt.
Old Yoda's a beast.
And, and he can use the Force in ways to, in
mysterious ways.
Augment your physical abilities. Yoda can't actually, jump around and move like that. He's using the Force to propel his leg forward. And his next leg forward after that, and his next leg forward, And so, he's using the Force. It's like when you give yourself a Force job, like when Luke, or when, probably when Obi-Wan, actually, when he was all alone on those fucking
out in Tatooine.
Giving himself some Force job, hand jobs. A Force job.
Well, he's sworn to a life of celibacy, so what else is he going to do?
That's how Yoda moves, and that's how old Luke would move if he had showed up. But he didn't. He didn't show up. So,
he didn't. And it did leave a lot to be desired. But so I'm with you there. But I have enjoyed The Mandalorian, and I will look forward to Obi-Wan Kenobi with Ewan McGregor returning, and a cameo from Hayden Christensen. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy, as he once said in Revenge of the Sith.
Famously said.
Something like that. So that's really... But Disney Plus are really smashing that Star Wars franchise for all it's worth.
I'm going to tell you guys and the listeners, and I've said it before. I actually said it when Disney very first bought them on this very podcast. Disney does not give a fuck about your beloved Star Wars. They don't give a shit about your memories, your dreams, your hopes. They just want to make a quick buck. And they saw a way to buy a popular franchise and wring it out for every dollar it's worth. And they're going to do that for as long as it's making them money. Because that's how it works. But they don't give a fuck. They only care in a financial way. They want it to be a success, obviously. But artistically, they don't care. They just need it to be a financial success. They don't care about the integrity of the project.
Yeah, they want it to be well received, so you will receive more of it, as opposed to wanting it to be well received for the purity of the Star Wars mythology that they're meant to be creating.
Right. Well, are we done with Star Wars?
Yeah,
because I do have a little update here on Spermquest, your favorite segment. Guy's favorite segment, Spermquest. Now, this has been a segment for several years in which I have sometimes, made inroads towards eventually becoming a sperm donor because I'm ideologically motivated by my opinions on evolution and this idea of spreading your seed far and wide. But I also am a good person, and I don't want to spread my seed far and wide and leave a bunch of fatherless children or disappointed women, so I've got to figure out, a way to do it. Well, the answer, obviously, because as it happens in New Zealand, there is a lack, and this is a public service announcement, there is a lack of sperm donors in New Zealand, and there are many couples and other individuals that want to have babies who are on long wait lists who are just waiting for sperm from donors. And so here I am wanting to spread my genes, here they are wanting to have children, so it all just makes perfect sense to me. So a few years ago, I started this process. It started, it stopped. Go back, listen to the show. Nowadays, I'm getting started again. I haven't done it. I haven't actually done it yet. So I'm getting started again. I went for some tests. The good news is my guys are swimming. So despite my best efforts to make myself infertile,
numb them with alcohol.
And so forth. Now I had to do a bunch of blood tests, right? So I went in there. I gave a sample to check my guys are swimming. They do blood tests, make sure I'm healthy, all that type of thing. Now I went in that day for an appointment and they gave me the blood test, form, the lab form. And I didn't plan on doing any tests that day. It wasn't in my agenda. You know me, I like to know what I'm doing for the day. I like to have a think about it beforehand. Don't like any surprises, but they gave me this test thing and I was like, well, I might as well go do it right now because, it's just up the road and I'm a proactive kind of dude. So I'll just get it done. So I happen to know from last time that they actually need to do a lot of tests, obviously, for safety reasons. So they've got to take a lot of blood. And, I have a history.
You do.
As we have discussed on this show, of passing out on occasion. Usually, sometimes when giving blood, one time when getting an STI check at the doctor's office, that was a hilarious. He was very rough. Anyway, go back and listen to that one. And so I do have this history. And so I hadn't had lunch and it was hot. And she was taking 4 full vials of blood. And she was rough as guts. She got this syringe, jammed it up there, blood spurted all over her gloves. And she goes, whoops, and had to wipe it off.
That is unusual. I'll give you that. That is unusual.
Yeah, no, look, that is. I have had a few blood tests before and given blood and so forth, and they don't generally spurt blood everywhere like the fucking Chainsaw Massacre. So I was feeling okay. I was just like not looking at it, and I thought I was all right, and I managed to hold it together for a minute or so. But then I could feel the familiar feeling of I could feel the familiar feeling of of entropy approaching.
The blackness
of this the darkness of space approaching, and so. I could feel myself going, and so I sort of took my hat off because I was suddenly hot. That's the thing about passing out. If anybody's done it, I burn up, right? So I'm suddenly fucking stinking hot. The blackness is coming, the oppressive blackness. I took my hat off and I sort of slump and slide my way down the seat, and I sort of said to her on my way something like, "Okay," to notify her that I needed her attention. And so I lay down on the floor. Now, the thing was, because I recognized the symptoms, right, of passing out, because I've done it so many times, it wasn't such a big deal. I just, I recognized them, and I knew I needed to get my head down low. I needed to get down on the floor quickly, or I was going to fucking pass out and fall on the goddamn floor. And so I slithered my way down the seat and lay on the clinic floor, covered in COVID, just making polite small talk and sweating profusely with an inexplicable raging asphyxiation boner. And then I was like, and so I got up and I was actually okay. So I didn't pass out. But it was a close call. It was a very close call. So don't say I'm not suffering for my children. I am suffering for my children. Okay. So the thing is with the sperm donating thing is that you're supposed to practice abstinence for 48 hours before each donation.
That's a real problem for you.
Well, I tell you what, there's going to be a lot of disappointed ladies out there throughout, because it could be 6 to 10 donations, to get the required volume.
There's going to be a lot of disappointed socks out there.
Or even the ladies that do get my sperm are going to be quite disappointed when their short, bald baby comes out. It's going to be like in that episode, the first episode of Alien, the first movie of Alien, where at the dinner table. That'll be it'll burst out, except for it'll be a short, bald, hairy baby. But yeah, so anyway, I did all of that shit, and then I had to go back again. They do give you a $50 Prezi card for every donation, so that's pretty good. That's $500 or something for something I was going to do for free. So that's all good at home. So passive income. That's what it's all about, people. Yeah. Passive income, getting paid to just do what you're going to do.
That's true.
Just do you. You know. But so anyway, I went along and I went to the clinic and I gave my first donation a few days ago. Now this was the day after the cocktails. It was the day after the cocktails that I missed this show for last week, and so I was slightly hungover. And on the way there, I had a funny traffic altercation with a guy and called him a dickhead.
Road rage.
So So I was slightly hungover and had a road rage altercation on my way there. So that kid's life is off to a great start. So that's where we're at on that one.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that you almost fainted like a little baby from giving a little bit,
like a little bitch,
from blood. But okay.
Now
I'm going down on the floor now.
That's exactly what it was like.
I just need a little moment on the floor.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it was like.
Good one.
Yeah. So, I'll keep you all posted on that. Keep you posted on that. I did also have an arm wrestle at the bar. I was at the pub, and this guy challenged me to an arm wrestle. Now, obviously, I'm not the arm wrestling type. This individual as well was a roofer. So he works in a physical tradey trade, and he could pick me up and roll me up like Play-Doh if he wanted. But he really insisted on an arm wrestle, and I was feeling the pressure, and I did know one of these guys, and I didn't know this guy was arm wrestling, but I knew the other guy. He's a respected industry professional, and so I was like, well, I guess I'll have a go. Even though I knew. I told him beforehand. I was like, well, this is fucking silly. I was like, I don't even understand why you want to do it. I was like, this guy clearly just wants to hurt me. He's probably just a bad dude who wants to hurt me, because obviously there's no point in challenging me. There's no glory. He has nothing to gain by arm wrestling me. Okay, best case scenario, he beats me. That's not worth anything to him. And worst case scenario, he gets beaten by me. That doesn't look very good for him. And so anyway, I agreed to the arm wrestle, and I looked him directly in the eye beforehand, and I said to him, "Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me." And then we had an arm wrestle, and he played with me like I was a kitten. Obviously I tried my best, and he played with me like I was a kitten. I gave it my all, and then he let me almost win, but I could tell he wasn't. But he was having fun. He was just having fun with me. But look, the point behind that story is that I actually had a lot of fun, despite having this arm wrestle, which sounds like something I would hate doing with a stranger during a COVID pandemic. At a bar and in a situation where I'm outnumbered and alone and arm wrestling a big tough guy. I actually had a really good time. It was really fun. And it reminded me what it was to be a human that interacts with other humans randomly.
Well, yeah, look, that's an important lesson to remember at times.
Absolutely. So if you're out there and you're listening to this podcast in your little basement room, and you get offered the opportunity to interact with humans, you should probably do it, even if it's something that it doesn't sound like something you want to do, such as arm wrestling a tough man at the pub.
So who was this guy? You didn't know him, or you did know him?
Oh, I didn't know him. I just vaguely know one of his, his associates. So I just know this other guy from the pub, who is a filmmaker in Auckland. Right. And so I was like, all right, well, here we go.
Yes.
So yes.
Well, that reminds me of the time that I had an arm wrestling match with my brother-in-law, who is a Tyler himself.
Is a tradie.
He's a big burly man himself. And he thought that he could take on Alex Savage, but he thought wrong. Now the stakes were that if I were to win, he had to give up smoking, and I made this bet for the safety of him and for his future with my sister. So it was an act of So I was empowered.
It was an act of
love. I was empowered by this act exactly of love to assist in everyone involved, and that gave me the strength to soundly beat him with both arms, and he learned a valuable lesson that day. But unfortunately, he did not honor the rules of the agreement.
So he continued.
He has continued to smoke for the last decade since that incident. So yes, a little bit disappointing.
It's almost as if addiction is real and can't be easily beaten with a
silly bet.
With a silly bet with your brother.
A drunken bet.
Yeah, well, maybe. Now, let's talk about Asylum, right? Because we haven't spoken about it on air yet, but we have said that. So, Asylum was for people who want to catch up, who don't quite remember. So we a few years ago made a web series called Harrow, which was a great gig for us. It was a new opportunity for us to sort of do this corporately funded web series. And in our contract, we were sure to say that we were allowed to recut it as a short film as well, for the purpose of submitting to festivals and so on. And so we did that. We organized that. The web series came out to rave reviews. A lot of people got a lot of views on Facebook, a lot of views on the company's website, and was for very much a success. I would call it a success. And then so we recut it into the short film, but for years not for years, but for a little while we didn't really do anything with it. And then recently it was uploaded to YouTube. I uploaded it to the Pigville channel on YouTube, and it has had very quickly, I think about 6,000 views so far. But what's interesting is that it's getting a lot of really positive comments. Like really, people are taking time to not just write one word comments, but actual paragraphs talking about how and why they enjoy our film Asylum. Now, you guys can find Asylum if you search Pigville Productions Asylum short film on Google or whatever. You'll find it, but it's on YouTube. Asylum Pigville Productions Horror. You'll find it. And our YouTube channel is youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2. Pigville and the number 2, and you can find it there. And so, yes, people have been really responding to it, and they're really, really enjoying it, which is great. And we mentioned a couple of episodes ago that we have been demonetized on YouTube, despite being one of the very first people to launch their shitty website.
And have a viral video.
Have a fucking viral video there. We had a global pandemic video way back in the day, and Disgusting Hairy Man, and they demonetized us recently because we were monetized before they changed the rules. That's how fucking old school we are. So we were monetized before they changed the rules, but under the new rules we were no longer actually eligible because we hadn't put out any content for ages. So we didn't have 4,000 hours worth of view time in the last 12 months, and so they demonetized us. The disrespect is quite next level. I mean, we've been on there since 2006. If it wasn't for people like us, these motherfuckers wouldn't have their goddamn limos and their fucking Ferraris and shit. And here they are, disrespecting us like this. The fucking OGs.
YouTube.
Fucking OGs of YouTube.
Wouldn't be a $1 billion industry if it wasn't built off the backs of people like us.
If it wasn't for Disgusting Hairy Man, YouTube would not exist in the form that it does
Disgusting Hairy Man was the catalyst for YouTube's explosion.
Yes, I think that's a fair statement. And so they demonetized us a little while ago. And but the good news is that you only have to have 4,000 hours of view time. We had something like 2,800 or no, it must be less. Anyway, we had some, and Asylum by itself is responsible for 1,200 hours of view time on our current YouTube channel. So what that means is people are not only are they watching it, but they're watching the whole thing. They're watching it, a long way
hook,
through.
Line, and sinker.
They're balls deep in that shit. So that's obviously very exciting for us and very good news, because we're only 500 hours of view time away from being able to monetize our channel now. So that's good. We were actually, if we hurry up and get that sorted, then we're only actually down and not monetized for a few weeks really, or a month or so, so if you guys would like to help us, please go along to the YouTube channel youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2, and you can watch our short film Asylum there. You can also watch No Caller ID. You can watch the trailers to all of our stuff. You can watch our old skits. Doesn't really matter what you watch. And don't tell YouTube I said this, but if you really want to, you can literally watch it and, hit play on it and just, change tabs. Look, you hit mute, like, if you really want to. That's still a big favor for us. That's still a big favor. Just watch the motherfucker, and we got to get that 4,000 hours and we can get earning again, which is sort of super important because YouTube have gone after our livelihood here. And that ain't a game, motherfuckers. It's not a fucking game, all right? You're going after our livelihood here. You demonetize our channel. All right, okay, this is big boy talk, This is big boy talk, YouTube. And we're not fucking happy about it. You don't want to provoke Pigville, is what I'm saying.
Now, Harley, I do believe that YouTube can always be listening, and we are posting this on YouTube as we speak. And this is exactly how people get banned and demonetized from YouTube, is making inflammatory statements to YouTube. So maybe we want to walk back this big boy talk a little bit.
Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm just assuming they're not going to hear.
Yeah. Which is a relatively safe assumption.
Well, yeah. So that's on the Pigville YouTube channel, right? But currently people are watching on the Guy and Harley podcast YouTube channel. And on the Guy and Harley podcast YouTube channel, we are a long way from our 4,000 hours because nobody gives a fuck. Ain't nobody listen to this shit. Ain't nobody watching this shit on YouTube. And so really, we're A-OK. We're talking about a different channel. We're A-OK. So if people would like to help this channel, make sure you go and check out the Guy and Harley podcast on YouTube because we want to monetize that as well. Yeah. Get this livelihood popping off.
Yep, absolutely. So, please do like and subscribe.
Asylum. Check out Asylum.
Well, look, harkening back to Spermquest, Harley.
Yeah.
You make these babies. You put them out in the world. You never really know how they're going to grow up. You never know how they're going to mature and what they're going to become.
I have absolutely no say, and I have had a few counselling sessions with the people at the sperm clinic because it's all part of it. This is New Zealand. We don't just fucking go off like in America, right?
I mean,
well, I'm pretty sure in America they pay people for their sperm.
Yeah,
they pay people. That is incentivizing people to do this out of financial reasons instead of, ideological or, moral reasons, like these people are doing it over there purely for money. It's a form of prostitution, right? So that's kind of crazy to me. But anyway, the point is that I've had a bunch of counseling meetings. So yes, I'm interested. Great.
So, this is the same with our films. We don't know where they're going to end up. We don't know how they're going to mature out in the world.
Didn't go where I was expecting. Yeah, okay.
And we don't know from one film to another what is going to resonate with people and what's not. What we might think is something that, is no one's going to give a shit about, people actually really give a shit about. And the thing that we think that is going to be the be-all and end-all is just the end-all.
Like not wanking.
Well, I was more thinking of you look at that reception to Asylum, whereas I would have thought that Emmy the Vegan would have skyrocketed us and propelled us to new heady heights.
Yeah. Well, although to be fair, Asylum has not skyrocketed us or propelled us to any new heady heights, and Emmy the Vegan did get a vast array of positive comments and feedback.
Well, yeah, but.
So they're in similar places.
Well, what I'm saying though, I guess, is that
maybe Emmy the Vegan is more your preferred.
Well, yeah, and also with zero promotion and sort of we've put Asylum on and it's sort of getting lots of views and getting lots of comments. With a huge marketing push with Emmy the Vegan, we are not getting nearly as many views or any of those, even the comments. Like, yes, we got heaps of good feedback and stuff, but centralized to ourselves as opposed to randos on the internet, which is who you really want to be hearing from. And as I have been with Older, so the get lots of good feedback on Older. I can't keep up. This is a true story. I cannot keep up with all the people messaging me about Older and getting back. Like, sometimes there's now a lag between me getting a message and me getting back to the people, because then someone else will message me about older. So I know that it is out there, and I know that lots of people are watching and enjoying it, and that's really awesome. And people were then going to the trouble of finding me to tell me that, which is also really awesome. But how does that metric translate to, financial success via streaming platforms? We do not know. But at least it's encouraging. Yeah, it is encouraging.
Well, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, and my honest belief is that it is going to do very well. I think it's just it's a bit of a dark horse, a bit of a slow build. I think it's just the issue is that nobody knows about it yet, and it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. When people watch Older by going to www.olderfilm.com and hitting the buy now button, they do see a really good film, and I do think that it's going to, I do think that it is going to do well, and it is going to continue to get really good responses and critical, positive critical reviews, critic reviews, and so I do think it's going to be a big success. I think our big issue is just marketing,
awareness,
and time.
Awareness.
Yeah, awareness and time, and it's going to be that long. It's going to be that long battle where we just continually push it out to different audiences.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I also did just send a Blu-ray to someone. Now, they ordered it, and I quoted them on the costs of postage at that time. I went into the post shop today. They've added an extra $10 postage to sending things to the United States now. So what was $16 to post to the United States is now $26. Unfucking real.
What? So wait. So send a DVD to the United States now was 16, which I recall from my DVD fucking shilling days, or whatever the word is. And now you're saying it's 26 to send a DVD to the United States.
Yeah, or maybe 25. But yes, 25.
But that's fucking incredible.
I know.
How does anything get bought and sold between New Zealand and Australia if it costs $25 to send a DVD from New Zealand? America from here to there? It's crazy.
Absolute madness.
See, this is why
I kicked up a stink in the shop. I was like, 20.
You're like, listen, bitch. I know that this is just a chemist and you guys are just offering some postal services, but you motherfucker.
Yeah, I Tom Cruised her. I had to Tom Cruise her. But I was basically like, what? Because I was legitimately shocked. I was like, $26? Is there some mistake? I'm just sending it normal mail, right? She's like, yeah. And I was like, but I just sent another one. It was $16. She goes, they put the prices up. I'm like, who's they?
Duh.
Who are they and why? Why would they? So for anyone wanting to order from us, the postage is now equal to the cost of the fucking Blu-ray. So that's cool. Yeah. And the one that I sent made exactly zero. It may have lost $1 on that due to that increase.
Well, look, man, you might recall I had a business for a wee while there. I was selling these I Survived a Zombie Holocaust DVDs, and I was shocked and stunned by the tiny profit margin that didn't make it worth your time to walk down to the post office. It was like, okay, I'm going to have to drive down to the post office, pay for a park potentially. The DVD costs X amount to make. The postage is this much. The packaging is another expense that I need to pay for. The pens, the gold pens that we use to sign them, they're not free. And so all of that stuff, and you end up making fucking $5 from sending somebody your DVD. And you're like, man, this actually is a lot. This is quite labor intensive.
It is labor intensive. The posting is.
When you consider the return, especially because nowadays in New Zealand, post offices have become a thing of the past. Our kids won't know what post offices are because they simply seem to be disappearing, but they're not replacing them with anything. You can just go to the chemist or the pharmacy and try to, post a DVD or post something from there now. And that's how you do postage nowadays. But I can't, the post offices are gone.
Well, I'm looking forward to whenever they figure, because they do this, you can sort of buy and order stamps online elsewhere, and so I'm looking forward to this, in theory, making it cheaper for us to do this, but we'll see if that is the case.
Well, we do want you guys to buy. It's actually a Blu-ray, not a DVD.
Right.
It's a Blu-ray. It's a Blu-ray of our film Older, and we do really encourage you to get it. And you can do so by sliding into our DMs. You can go to facebook.com/Guy and Harley. Send us a message. We'll send you a DVD or a Blu-ray rather. And you can also contact us on PayPal by just using the email address pigvilleproductions@gmail.com. When you're on PayPal, pigvilleproductions@gmail.com, or email us at pigvilleproductions@gmail.com, and then we can send you a signed Blu-ray copy of our second feature film, Older. And I guarantee, dear listener, that this thing is going to go up in value. This is an investment. If you get a signed DVD, a signed Blu-ray copy from us right now, just hold it for a few years. It's going to be the equivalent of having like a DVD signed by Tom Cruise before for his first
Christopher
film.
Nolan. Remember Christopher Nolan?
An original Christopher Nolan. Imagine if you had a signed copy of Memento from Christopher Nolan, from back then, and you could prove that, that would be auctionable. So get out there, people. Email us at pigvilleproductions@gmail.com.
Well, I think it's probably about time to wrap things up. My dog is whining at me. She wants to go out.
Yeah, that's what he calls his penis, by the way.
She wants to go out.
Dog.
She wants to be.
My penis is whining at me. She wants to go out.
She'd like to be fed and like to be taken for a.
Guy's penis
for a walk.
Identifies. Guy's penis identifies as she, her. She, her. So that's fine. Guy identifies as he, him, but Guy's penis identifies as she, her, and he calls her the dog.
The dog.
And this is a little window into Guy's
life. Well, look,
life.
this harkens back.
Guy's identity.
This harkens back to the classic episode of Dawson's Creek, where Joey and Dawson were talking, and they were saying that as they grew up, as they were becoming, sex was becoming, making things complicated, they couldn't remain best friends. And Dawson maintained that, of course,
it's just like you and me.
Dawson maintained that, of course, they could be best friends. And Joey threw out the classic line, because they had to always talk around sex. They couldn't really directly say it. So she goes, well, if we're best friends, you can tell me anything. How often do you walk the dog, Dawson? And he was like, Joey, that's crazy. Stop it, Joey. I'm not going to talk to you about that sort of thing. And she's like, see, this is exactly. And then she Tom Cruised it a little bit, which is ironic because she would go on to marry Tom Cruise. And then she left down the ladder out the back porch, and she was very hurt by the fact that he would not reveal to her how often he jerked off. She was upset on a friendship level that he would not share that with him. And then later in the episode, he leans out the window and he's like, hey, Joey. And she's like, huh? And he's like, in the mornings to Katie Couric or something like that. And then she puts a big smile. They're friends again. They share. He jerks off every morning. There you go. There you go, Joey. That's what you wanted to know, right? Well, now you do.
Yeah.
If you really think about the context of that episode, it's all quite silly when I really break it down. But to me, I thought it was genius at the time.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And I get that. For me at the time, I thought it was stupid.
Hey, Dawson, how often do you walk the dog?
The whole show.
In the mornings.
I didn't watch it. I watched a few, and I could not get into it. But you and our dear friend Nick just loved it. But I just could not get into Dawson's Creek.
Yeah. So anyway, but it was a good way to get around saying that, right? It was a good, how often do you walk the dog?
And that's why you call your penis the dog.
So now we all know it's all come back to circle around to...
This is how it all comes back to the fact that your penis is a gender fluid she, her, who you call the dog. and you are now you need to end the show. The show's finished because you need to go and walk the dog
and feed her because she's whining.
Yes, exactly. So on that note, I guess we'll wrap it all up and say thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. We've had a lot of fun. Please do keep coming back. We love making this show. Please help us by going to patreon.com/Pigville and supporting us there. Please use our PayPal account, pigvilleproductions@gmail.com. That's all you need to give us a donation if you'd like to give us some money just to support us or to buy the beers or to help us cover the random expenses which we cover. And also the big thing that you can do for us right now is go to olderfilm.com. That's the place where we are selling our second feature film. There's a buy now button, and there should be a place where it's where you can watch it. If you hit the buy now button, that's the big one. Otherwise, another big thing you can do for us is you can go to youtube.com/Pigville and the number 2. And if you go there and you watch any of our stuff, that really helps us get our view time up and get people interested in talking about us, which means we can monetize our channel again, which means we can use that money to keep making content, which you guys will keep consuming. So we would really love it if you did that. And then, look, if you can't do any of that, just hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow, hit share. All of those things cost you nothing, and they mean the world to us. So, yes, thank you very much for listening. And also, we didn't really talk about, New Year's and all that type of thing, but Merry Christmas. And this is the Christmas episode. Yes. This is the last one you're going to get before Christmas. And we do wish you a Merry Christmas. We are very grateful that you've spent all these years listening to us and tuning in and keeping up with our escapades. And we are, we really do wish you a happy Christmas. And I hope we do one before New Year's, but if not, Happy New Year's too. But we should do a New Year, one before New Year's.
Yeah. So Merry Christmas, and thanks everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.